It's not sorry that most Americans hate 45, so it's like, it's easy to overstate the support 45 has for his policies and conspiracy theories. His approval remains in the low 40s, but the percentage of Americans who buy into his positions and assertions is remarkably small. 45 and faux news have their believers who bounce up and down on their dicks, but beyond that minority of the population, the large majority of Americans understand that 45 often spews bullshit, and out lies and nonsense, and to boot, they really do not like him at all. The latest economist YouGov national poll is instructive when it comes to Russia. Despite 45's bromance with Russian President Vladimir Putin, only 14% consider that Russia to be an ally or friendly. 32% say it is unfriendly, in addition to the 34% who consider it an enemy. 45 may be confused about who interfered in the 2016 election, but the public is not. By 50% to 28% margin, Americans say Russia interfered in our election, unlike 45, who is convinced that Ukraine meddled in the election. Only 21% of Americans think that Ukraine ever interfered, insistence that it's a hoax. In the last 10 years, some think climate change has affected the world a great deal by 42%, or at least some. Only 18% say not at all. By 51% to 28% margin, Americans think we have not done enough to combat climate change. In the next 10 years, 66% of Americans will think that climate change will affect the world a great deal or some. 45's approval rating is sitting at 40% versus the 52% that hate him. Remains underwater, as does his re-election number against an unnamed Democrat, 40% versus 50. His personal ratings are horrendous. A remarkable 51% do not even want him to run for re-election. I'm one of those people that does not want him running for re-election. Only 31% like him as a person, and 18% say they like him a lot, or say he's honest and trustworthy, which 45 doesn't even know what being honest is. 54% say he does not have the temperament to be president, which he doesn't. Only 19% say he is steady, while 60% say that he's arrogant, which, yeah, he is arrogant. And a strong plurality, 44% say he's a racist, which he is. Less than a quarter of Americans think he cares about people like him. While the country remains evenly divided over removing 45 from office, there's a strong majority in favor of calling additional witnesses in the Senate. Fucking piece of shit. And roughly a third think there will be a fair trial in the Senate, which more than likely there will be, and some, depending upon precisely what question is asked. The percentage of cultists who support 45, whatever he says or does, is generally less than 30%. Another 10 to 15% may occasionally take his side on positions or policies, but a remarkably large percentage of Americans do not think he is fit and want him gone. Why then do the election polls, especially state polls, show a hypothetical general election to be rather tight? First, we should keep in mind that the Electoral College is a joke, and the people in key swing states are generally less antagonistic toward 45 than the country as a whole. Second, 45 has already begun, and will continue to demonize Democratic politicians as unpatriotic, crazy socialists, and endangered to his base's way of life. Technically, the Republicans are unpatriotic, they're crazy, and they're socialists, and they won in 2016 by making Hillary Clinton even more unlikely than he would try to do the same, but whoever the Democrats choose to nominate in 2020. Third, until a Democratic presidential nominee convinces voters or he or she cares about them and is in the sync with their values and basic political predilections, there will be a segment of soft, independent, and Republican voters who shy away from the Democrats. The bottom line is 45 cannot win a majority of Americans' respect and affection. He can only try to frighten them about their alternative. That's why you can expect a vicious anti-factual campaign that likely will make 2016 look like a picnic.